Alrighty, we're about ready to go. I think that's gonna work. And we're gonna start all over again, Koholo. Okay, there we go. I see it going. Okay. We're gonna wait for people to come in. We're gonna wait for people to come in and get settled down. Can you guys hear me now? I'm gonna wait till I hear confirmation. So who's gonna be number one? You know how everybody likes to be the first one to post. Who's number one? Comment with the number one, only if you can hear me. Actually, comment with the number two if you can. I don't know. Are we doing binary signals now? Just like, is there anybody out there? We are, I'm pretty sure, live and can hear right now, but I am going to now turn the time back over to my panel. Aloha. I'm pretty sure you can hear me now. I realized we had some audio difficulties, and that's the world of live streaming and software and bringing people from thousands and thousands of miles apart together in one place. So through the marvel of modern technology, we're here. Another Around the Wayne. Mahalo for joining us. This has been an amazing journey for me personally to be the host of this live stream because it's been so much fun. But every week I get to bring another four. Oh, number one or Shane number two. Okay, shoots. I get to bring another four of my Hawaii football fanatics into the Around the Wayne show. And I'm going to start by letting them introduce themselves now that everybody can hear us. So we're going to start with Koholo to my top right. How's it going, Koholo?
It's going good. Thanks for having me, Wayne. My name is Koholo. I'm a high school math teacher on Maui. Yeah, math, I know.
Yeah!
Been doing that for a while. And UH football, we've always watched it on TV. We never quite made it to the games over on Oahu, but when I married my lovely wife, Shauna, in 2012, she was good friends, and that's how I met Wayne. And we went, and she said, "You want to watch a football game with us?" And okay, and front row,
Right.
we didn't make it all the way quite to the front row, but it was like second row, but just as fun, and the environment and all that stuff, I was hooked. So we try to make it to as many games as we can now, but hopefully more to come. But thanks for having me, Wayne.
That's right. So Koholo, of course, husband of one of my best BFFs, and that's Shauna, and they are both teachers at Kamehameha Maui. So we're gonna shout out the Maui campus as well. But let's turn it over to Catherine. This is a very diverse panel that we have with people from different generations, people that have been around the program for a long time. But Catherine is somebody I just got to meet last year, and she's already shown that she loves this team and is willing to get on a plane by herself and come join us as well. But joining us all the way from Northern California. How's it going, Catherine? Aloha.
Hey guys, doing well. My name's Catherine Castillo. I live up in Northern California near Sacramento in a small town called Lodi. We're kind of considered the Little Napa. So if anybody knows anything about wine, we've got a bunch of great Zens and a few other things, great Chardonnay. Outside of that, I am currently heading into my senior year at UH. I am a sociology major with an anthropology minor. Just finished my last final last night, so now I can kind of look ahead to summer courses, fall courses. As far as being a Hawaii football fan, I've been a fan a little bit before. I actually became a student at Hawaii. I started following the team. I'm a big-time sports lover. From being in Northern California, obviously Stanford's pretty big for us. UCLA, not too much of a fan of USC or anything like that down below. North Pride up here. But outside of that, I just fell in love. It's now my home team. I mean, you got to root for the home team, right?
That's right. And the home team, a guy that's always there for the home team, is one of my close associates and friends, and a guy that came on my very first tour with Hawaii Sports Fans 8 years ago, and that's Glenn Higa. How's it going, Glenn?
How's it, Wayne? How's it, everybody? Yeah, Glenn Higa. Been a UH fan since 1978, so 42 years. That's my first recollection of going to a UH football game. My parents. Been going to games ever since. Season ticket holder, luckily, in football, men's basketball, women's volleyball. Been fortunate to go on a lot of trips to see the Warriors, see the Rainbows play. A lot of them I always with Wayne, or at least I see Wayne all the time. So so happy that he asked me to be part of this show today. So looking forward to it.
And Glenn, talking about all of the trips that you've been doing, you also are somebody that's been behind the scenes sometimes with the team and had a different perspective than just a normal fan. But talk about that too.
Yeah, so I spent a number of years working for ESPN 1420, which was the radio host, radio arm, or broadcast partner for University of Hawaii. From there, I went on to University of Hawaii Athletics for 3 years, give or take about 6 months or so. From there, I went on to be the general manager for Aloha Sports Properties. So we did all the advertising for the Aloha Stadium, most notably the Hawaiian Airlines Field sponsorship, which was one of the first examples of a public-private partnership here in Hawaii for facilities. So very proud of that.
And so Glenn will definitely have an interesting perspective when it comes to our new stadium, and somebody that has a really great perspective of this program. We're honored to have her join us, and she's the executive director of NAKOA, and that is Kim Fujiuchi. Aloha, Kim.
Hey, Wayne. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
What are you doing? I have to ask Kim, because you are someone that always has UH on her mind. She's always wearing UH. She is a huge UH supporter, not only in her job but in her personal life. So how are you dealing with the withdrawals, Kim? You got to tell us how to deal with it.
I'm definitely missing sports, for sure. Although I'm not one of those people that likes to go back and watch old games because I know the outcome. I like the thrill of not knowing what's going to happen. I mean, that's why they play the game, right? Mm-hmm. So definitely missing that. I haven't gotten around to watching, I think it's Korea that started baseball, or China or something.
Yep.
Not there yet. So, but hoping that we'll have something in the fall. So.
And I'll let you continue to introduce yourself as well. I'm sorry for cutting you off.
But no problem. So I grew up in Hilo and have been executive director of NAKOA for about 10 years. But I've been a fan, not in graduate school. So a little over 20 years or so. Actually, Jim Donovan's a really good friend of mine. He was my MBA classmate, and he said, you got to come to a game. And that's how I got started. And a couple other classmates were huge college football fans. And so we got together, and we have a group that actually still goes to games together and stuff. And it's been interesting since I took this job. To watch the game from the field is a very different experience. Hear just how hard they hit, just how intense the coaches are and the players are and how engaged they are. But I will tell you, I shouldn't say that. Never mind. It's hard to see if you're short. And you can't tell. I'm sitting down. I'm short. You can't see a whole lot. So.
Yeah, but you'll see Kim on the field when you're at the games. You'll see Kim. You'll see our friend Joyce Lau, who's out there as well. And she's our sideline control. So we're so excited to have them to join us. But just a reminder, as we get started, we'll go through a series of 5 questions. Everybody will have a chance to answer. If I have to cut you off, that means you're going way too long, but that's never happened. One time maybe. He knows who he is. But, it's one of those things that, hey, I know this is something that's on your mind all the time. We are huge UH fans. We all are thinking about how much we love this team, how much we miss the season. So this gives us a chance. This gives us an outlet. And for those in the comments as well, if you have something you want to add or something that you want to be brought up, for sure, let us know. But let's get started with our first question. And obviously, everything on our mind is what's this era of the pandemic that we're living through and COVID-19. And it clearly has already had an effect. We've lost a lot of games, even in the spring season, just non-football, but for the rest of our sports. And we know that this is all connected. Football is our crown sport. It is really what helps in every school, not just at ours, but at every school that has football. It's such a major part, but it's going to be important for the school, especially if now with Oregon saying that they're not going to have any live events through September, and that being our big game, our big payday of the season. What can the school do to stay financially solvent, which is going to be a difficult thing in this era, but what can we do, Kahola? What do you think is the first thing that we can do?
Shoot, to me right away, huh? What can the school do to
kind of stay out right now. They'll keep the books open, keep us going, because right now we are kind of in a place where we don't know what's going to happen. So Do we sell lollipops on the corner or something? What do we do to keep our school going while we can't pay to get to a game?
Yeah, this is a question that's so difficult to answer. All kinds of things come up with, partnerships, with working with people in the community to keep this going. But as far as the schools go, the financial, stability of the school, not, I guess, by and large, comes from the athletic department. And without that, that stability becomes something that makes the school super vulnerable. I think working with organizations in the community to get some kind of, that could benefit both sides, I think, where you make community more aware and you kind of help the community at the same time to bring it into your, to that sense of family when it comes to the athletic department and the school itself.
Yeah, I mean, Catherine, what do you got to add to that?
I think I have a little bit of a different take just because I come from a more pragmatic background.
Okay.
And I think that with the new laws put in place with social distancing and with the new laws put in place with quarantining and making sure that everybody's staying covered, I feel like we should capitalize on that. I feel like this is the age of the face mask. Let's go ahead and do some UH face masks. That's something that we can totally put out there. Every student is probably going to need one to be on campus. And that's not anything that I know about, but that's just kind of thinking ahead of something that they might put out there. I feel like, something like that to keep up with what's going on in society right now. Unfortunately, without sports, it is a huge hit, especially to UH, where they rely on that big time. But if we can get ahead of that, and if we can think forward thinking, I mean, people are going to probably need masks when sporting events return. We can think of that. We can think of face wraps. We can think of net gaiters. I mean, there's so much merchandise that people are going to be willing to buy to not only protect themselves, but to support UH.
Absolutely. That's a great point.
I feel like it's a great option.
Yeah, merchandise is always, today the Rams put out some uniforms that I was like, and then I immediately bought it, of course. But, that's just how fans are. You see something, it's your team. The Rams are my other team. Everybody knows that LA is our Hawaii Sports Fans, so I'm going to plug our new stadium and our new seats at Hawaii Sports Fans. But having a program, even $1 billion entity like they are, they're still trying to get their people to put as much money as down as they can. They're still trying to take money for season tickets, and that's hard too. Our school has taken money for season tickets, but some people, didn't pay yet because they don't know what's going to happen, and you can't blame them. But we need to have money in the bank right now, and Catherine brings up a big point. Let's capitalize on what is going on in the world right now. Everybody wearing face masks. How can we do that? But Glenn, what other kind of ideas you have, Glenn?
I come from a sponsorship background, so I'm looking at it as the university should start looking at different sponsorship opportunities, and it's hard because we don't have any Fortune 500 companies here in the island, so that puts us at a disadvantage when it comes to getting Yahoo or Google or any of those big companies. But there's a program, I don't know if Clemson University still has it, called IPTE. I pay $10 a year.
Oh, okay.
And they raise, and all they do is ask fans for $10 a year in donation.
Okay, interesting.
And they get 500,000 to 1 million people.
Wow.
From whether they're alumni, whether they're boosters, whether they're supporters, whether they're just casual fans who say, I can give $10 a year, and then say I contributed to the Clemson University program. So, some small things like that. I think any little thing will help in this time of need for the University of Hawaii, not just the athletics department, but for all the departments in the university system.
I like that. I like that a lot, and somebody that has definitely the viewpoint on this is Kim. So let's what do we gotta do, Kim? We're gonna give you the floor now.
I wish I had a crystal ball. So much of it is, not knowing what's going to happen. Of course, we're planning for, best case scenario where we have, let's say, most of the games. We have to look at obviously a worst case scenario, and as as everybody knows, without football, UH is not the only school whose athletic programs would suffer a lot, right? Because it's the cash cow that funds generally all the other sports and the ability to have all the other sports. So it's a challenge. I know for NACOA in particular, we've been wrestling with, it's our membership season. This is when we're usually out saying, hey, Wayne, Glenn, where's your membership? Football's coming up, and all that. But we also know that the economy is not great. People are hurting, and it's hard to say. I personally, wrestle with it because I feel bad saying, hey, Wayne, send me your membership, and I don't know your job situation. And, it's a lot of, a lot of people in Hawaii and across the country are, out of a job. They're furloughed or they're terminated. Their company is no longer in existence. So we're probably going to put out a really soft sell and just say, hey, look, help us if you can. The team's going to be there. They look forward to representing you. And that's all the sports. It's not just football, but all the student athletes are proud of going to UH. They want to represent the state. They want to represent the school well. Sorry, I'm sounding like the party line.
No. It's true, though. It's true.
It's the way it is. We have to try and balance these things and really be sensitive to what's happening in the community. And it's not only now. We look at that every time. If we're going to even look at sometimes when we look at price increases, is this the right time? What's the economy doing? So sports is big business. It's fun. We all love it. We all, I think you have to be a fan at heart to do the jobs that we do in the athletic department, but we also have to think of the business side. And so I my heart and my head wrestle a lot of times.
And that is a huge point. I mean, and it's harder too, especially in Hawaii. It's not in our nature to go out and ask for things like money, and it's a very difficult thing. So we do have a lot of disadvantages here, not just like Glenn said, with a lot of without access to some of the multi-billion-dollar companies, but also culturally, it's not in our nature to go out as maybe in some other programs to just expect people to donate to our program. But at the end of the day, we do it creatively. Like Glenn, Catherine, you guys all brought up points. Koholo, working with the community. There are always ways to support our program. So definitely look out for that, and look out for Kim's letter for those who are able to donate. But let's move on. Let's move on to another big news that came back this week. Last week or this past Sunday, if you caught my live stream, I took some answers and questions on my Sunday Sound Off, and I talked mostly about what Dr. Mark Emmert had brought up with the NCAA, saying that it was going to be impossible, really, by the summer to find a common start date. But now he's come back also and said, like, I can't control when teams start, and it doesn't have to be at the same time, so who knows what's going to happen. Of course, it's still early, and I really think it is still early to talk, but we do need to make plans. So it might, we don't know what it's going to look like, what the situation will be like, but we still need to make plans. And only a few people have really stuck out their necks in America and made plans for the future, and that's the Cal State schools. The academics there have been really the first to take the first plunge. And shout out to my friend Jane Teixeira, who is the new AD up there at Cal State. Is she at Chico? Oh my gosh, I hope she's at Chico. What else is up there, Catherine? Chico. What else is up there?
You've got so you got Chico, you got Sacramento, California State University.
Where were all those people getting lost in the mountains again?
Wait, what? Who's getting lost?
Well, those people that were like going missing in the mountains or something in California.
Where are you going?
Cal State. So the Cal State schools are very, very extensive. They go even above where Lodi is, even to Wairika, Eureka, even those places. So California is huge.
There's Humboldt County.
Humboldt. Sorry, Humboldt.
Yep.
Sorry, Jane, if you're watching. Cal State Humboldt. She's a new AD there, but she's dealing with a lot of pressure now herself because of the fact that it's a big bomb to drop. Is like your whole fall, especially if you have football. Humboldt actually recently dropped football, which is another big thing that she has to deal with because A lot of the fans and a lot of the alums are demanding to get football back, which is not easy for a brand new AD like herself, and especially at this time. And that's something we also need to think about as well. It's not a given to have football every year. It's a privilege to have a Division I FBS football team. So it's very necessary when we talk about financial solvency and sustainability of the program. But back to the Cal State schools. They've already announced that they're not going to have in-person classes. I know it's kind of confusing because the Long Beach AD then tweeted out that he's still planning on having athletics. But I know that a lot of these ADs are also secondary to whatever the presidents have to say. And the presidents run everything in NCAA. They are the final authority. But now that the Cal States have already announced that they're not going to have in-person classes, I'm going to let you look into your crystal ball, Catherine. And what do you think? What do you think should be done? And what do you think will happen?
Well, this has a huge ripple effect, right, in California, with students not going back to class in the fall. And I'm hearing about it quite a bit. There's a lot of people in my age group that were planning on going to Sacramento or San Francisco or Humboldt or Chico or even down to Fullerton or San Diego, because this is not just the CSUs, it's the UCs as well. So there's a lot of people in the mix that are suffering right now and having to deal with the transition to the online period. Along with that, I think that when it comes to the sports side of it, you're probably going to end up seeing sports going on and playing, but maybe no fans. And I don't know how I feel about that. Although I'd love to see UH play, I want to be there.
Yeah.
There's just nothing like being there.
Yep.
And that, that's something that we just might have to deal with, is the fact that this season we may just have to take a miss and still support our team the best that we can and move on and hope for the best for 2021.
So a chance of no fans, was Catherine is saying. Glenn, what do you have to say, Glenn?
This is a tough one because, Hawaii's in a good spot in terms of the coronavirus and mitigation. And, it looks like the school will have students on campus for the fall. But they play against Cal State schools.
Yeah.
And, you need an opponent to play a game.
Yeah.
So this is a tough one. I don't have a crystal ball to see if what the CSU schools will have a ripple effect on the other universities around the country, just because every state's so different.
Yeah.
In terms of if we do have games, will there be fans in the stands? I hope so. But maybe it's just season ticket holders only to start off.
There you go.
Maybe it's renewing season ticket holders and students. So maybe that's just it to start. And then as things get better, hopefully, then you can progress to have more fans come in afterwards as well. But I think it's so hard to say, and it's so hard to say what the Cal State schools' effect will have on everyone else. For
sure. And it is a little bit early. Knowing that the schools are already planning that far ahead, though, presents problems immediately. There's already a ripple effect, whether it triggers anybody. And Kim knows all well as with that, what's going on with that situation. But Kim, what's the latest, or what do you see the trending, and what do you think will happen?
I think it's tough. Like everybody said, a game without fans there is not the same. Even if you're watching it on TV, the feeling you get from the fans there, sucks you in, right? Or draws you in and gets you excited as well. And I know the players always say, it helps when it's the 12th man or the 6th person or whatever it is. It really helps to have the fans there. So I think that's going to be really interesting if it does happen. Like Glenn was saying, we know that UH is going to have some form of in-person. I think it sounds like it's going to be sort of a hybrid from what I've heard President Lasner say on TV. It's no more kind of lecture classes, right? Your entry level is going to all be online sort of, and then small group sessions and things like that. So, starting out with maybe season ticket holders or certain number and have a game, and then if we have an away game or a bye or something, and see what that, we know it's roughly a 2-week incubation period. So we have a game, and then we see what happens in 2 weeks. And if things are kind of okay and people are responsible and keep their distance in the stadium or at the arena, maybe then we can continue to add people. So, I know that I can tell you that the department is working on all kinds of contingencies.
Mhm.
And, you know, I think as a fan, I'd like to be there.
Yeah.
I mean, as a staff member, I think we'll have the opportunity at least to
Yeah.
be there. But,
Mhm.
you know, I'm only one person yelling,
Exactly.
and as loud as I yell, I'm not going to make up for, you know, a bigger group of people in the stands. So we are really trying to make sure that we can do it the best way. Of course, everybody wants to be safe. You
Mhm.
know, we don't want to have to go back to complete lockdown. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
hopeful.
And that's a big thing. I mean, one case would take to, one case on the field could spread. One case in the
Right.
stands could do. One case can shut down everything, and that's another big thing. You know, right now it looks good. Right now things look good, right, Koholo? Right now things look like, hey, we can. It's all peachy, but as a math teacher as well, we notice trends. I am a former math teacher as well, and the data says one thing as well. So what do you say? What do you think will happen, in your opinion?
Well, I'm gonna kind of go a little bit maybe too crazy for some people here, but okay. So I think from the academic side, being that I think the delivery method of the education will be different for students, especially those. I think what you'll see there, especially is, well, they would have to consider things like maybe lowering the tuition, maybe.
Yeah.
Because the experience might not be the same.
Yeah.
You're not going to get the facilities. You're not going to get the experience of being on campus. You're going to be in your own place doing, online education or distance learning for the entire. So I think you'll see some of that. If I'm not mistaken, I think I read something that said that some schools on the East Coast had already refunded some
Yeah, I think so
tuition
too.
payments for students. Yeah.
Yep. Some
So,
have.
so I think you'll see that happen maybe from the education side. For the sports side, I think, shoot, it's hard to imagine. I wasn't gonna watch the KBO game today, but I did because I needed to watch something live, and I watched it, and I thought would be weird without anybody in the stands. But I don't know how it was there, but it was fun to watch some baseball again. It really was. So without fans in the stands, I don't like it, but if it has to happen that way, I'll take that over not having sports. Now, maybe they could do something. Of course, we cannot have it be full capacity, but if you do something, and here's the crazy part: if we have season ticket holders, maybe first pick or whatever, but you do like a lottery for who gets in, and then it's spread out over the whole stadium for people that are hardcore and go to every game. To have like someone like you, Wayne, who's been to so many consecutive games, and it cut you off completely from watching that.
I'm not getting. There's no way. I can tell you right now, there is no chance that I will be outside of a stadium if the team is playing. There is no chance. You have to arrest me to not get into the stadium. Let's just make that clear right now. But you're right. If we do not, or we're not able to have full capacity, I mean that's a great idea. Or was that your whole idea, Cole? Sorry, did I cut you off? But was it the lottery?
No, that's it. Yeah, like a lottery, like just if you're a season ticket holder, you get so many, just like they do in the lottery draft they used to do for the for the NBA. Same thing.
Yeah, and that's
so
definitely possible. I question the chance of having college sports without fans. Period. It costs money to put events on that require the gate as well to host these events. So. It's hard to imagine teams flying in. Let's say it's early. The virus, we don't have a vaccine. People still don't know how to social distance. People still don't know how to wear masks. So if I'm going to bet on how the public is doing, then it's definitely, and we're talking about the general American public, not at home. At home, we're a lot better at, cultural guidelines and being able to do things for each other and understanding the importance of why we do things like wear masks and how it affects other people, because that is the lokahi, that's our values that we have in Hawaii, but that doesn't exist everywhere. Definitely not every part of the mainland either, and we're still early on places that think they're not in danger, because viruses don't just disappear. They don't just go beep in midair and they're gone. That's not how it happens. So we got a long way to go. I think it's the earlier they plan is, and by they, I know the university presidents and those who can make decisions, because people like me, I have tours. I had a great tour to Oregon planned. Oregon and going to NFL games and my favorite city, Portland. I go to this is going to be my 63rd straight game, I guess would have been the Oregon game. So clearly this is all I think about is going to football games and in UH football. But this is my plea to people to be a little bit more, and these articles about we're playing Notre Dame on November, I have no idea where these writers are coming up with stuff. But in a perfect world, yes, all these scenarios might be able to exist. But we still are waiting for the NBA to get going, and they are rich. We're still figuring out how the NFL is not even close to figuring out what they're going to do yet, because we need to keep safety on the field as well. UFC 249 had one guy test positive already. One guy out of 10. We're going to test hundreds of people on the field, and you're going to hope to have not one. So it's going to be difficult, but a lot needs to go into place. And the reason I want to bring this up is the fact that we can do things right now, people, too, public health wise. And this is to anyone listening who is out there who thinks that everything's just going to disappear. No, it's not. And we've already seen how hard it is for Major League Baseball to come back and the problems they're having. And that doesn't require as much touching on the field. Those are these sports that are less contact. So we're talking about a lot here. And as the optimistic person, I think we're going to be in the national championship game every year. I can tell you it's going to be a lot more difficult to even get to the field. But, we're going to do our best. And I'm going to get away from all of these doomsday scenarios already, because we want to talk about something a little bit more fun. So, you know what? Let's just go into the archives and go into the annals of your brain and talk about, like, what is your favorite moment in UH football history. And I'm going to let Glenn do this, because from 1978, he's been going to Aloha Stadium. So Glenn's probably got a few up his sleeve. And just moment. It doesn't have to be just a moment.
So many memories. But the one that stands out is in 1989.
Okay.
When Hawaii beat BYU 56-10. I was in the stands. I was a second-year student at UH. Stands are packed back then. It was, I think, 45,000, and the student section was packed. I was one of those confetti streamer guys that threw confetti onto the field. So sorry, although stadium maintenance for all the rubbish I created on the field. But I used to practice my confetti. I didn't practice anything else. I didn't study for my exams or anything, but I practiced my confetti.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that. But I remember Jamal Farmer catching that screen pass for 83 yards, rumbling down the sidelines. I remember Mark Odom sacking Ty Detmer. So
you got a few moments in there. So I got a few moments. Okay, so what is the one singular moment of that game, though, that you would say that's your favorite? Since that game you got a lot of moments. Well, what moment do you remember where you watched it and you're like, I remember when that happened. I remember watching that, and that was a moment. Or even if you don't remember, that exact moment is what is your favorite.
Yeah, the moment on the field I remember is the Jamal Farmer screen pass, the 83-yard screen pass. That's the moment I remember on the field the most. The moment I remember in the stands was being up 35-0 or 35-7 at halftime and thinking, we're going to beat BYU! We're going to beat BYU!
Chicken skin already. I love it.
I know, that was crazy.
Kim.
That's my memories.
That's a great memory. I know Kim got a few up her sleeve, too. What's your favorite moment, Kim?
Gosh, I think it was probably, the year was either 2005 or 2006 or something, and it was a BYU game, and I'm old enough to know that it's a rivalry. I don't think that's understood as much today. Nope. But I was on the mainland at a conference, and I walked into an establishment, and because the game was on, and it was literally, I think 6 or 7 seconds had elapsed, and we were up 7-0. And I looked at the scoreboard, at the screen, and I said, they made a mistake. 7 seconds in, and UH is up 7-0. Wait, what just happened? And then they did the replay, and I think it was Chad Owens had run the kickoff for a touchdown on the first play. And that was the beginning, I think, of like a 70-something to single-digit romp. And I just sat there, and I the second set of downs, there were these guys sitting at the next table, and I believe Timmy Chang was the quarterback, and I could be wrong.
Are you talking about 2001? 2001 with Rolovich? Nick Rolovich threw 8 touchdowns?
2005 or 2006.
Okay.
I think, somewhere around there. But anyway, it was somewhere in the early 2000s. And the guys sitting next to me knew exactly who our quarterback was. They knew who some of our receivers were. I just kind of looked over at them, and I wasn't wearing my UH gear because I had, come from a work thing. But I just thought, we are on the map. This is awesome.
I love that.
So that was a great time. Yeah.
Kaholo, what about you? What's your favorite moment?
Yeah, there's a lot to think about. So I know that since we've gone to a few games and sat in the front over there and cheered our voices to death, there was a winning streak, right? Remember that, Wayne? There was a winning streak. Yep. We would come and we would win, and there was a lot of last-second heroics by Shevin, and so there was a ton to think about. But the one I remember the most, I always go back to, is 2010, and they played Nevada, and Colin Kaepernick was on that team.
Yeah.
And I loved watching Monas Silva and company on that defense just stubbornly not give up points throughout the whole first half. And then the defense, watching Bryant Moniz do his thing with Salas and Polaris was just awesome to watch it against. And I think Nevada their record was pretty good going into that game at that point.
Yeah, we tied them that year as tri-champs with Boise, as 3 of us WAC co-champions.
And a buddy of mine was talking a lot of crap leading up to that game because he was from Nevada, and he was, we would talk back and forth. But that game, beating them, and then I think the moment in that game was that interception. I remember cheering super loud at the TV when we saw that thing happen. The interception was just, oh my gosh, by Monas Silva with a minute left or something like that. Sealed the deal pretty much.
There's a few good turnovers, definitely knocking the ball out of Kaepernick's hand before he got into the end zone, and that interception. So big moments, and all of those moments, what Glenn brought up is remembering a moment on the field, remembering the moment in the stands, because that moment in the stands is like euphoria. It's like people are going crazy, and we are so loud at Aloha Stadium. Let's also put that out there. We are very loud at our stadium. We are one of the loudest stadiums. I can easily tell you that. I've gone to so many stadiums across the country, and 50,000 in our stadium, 25,000 in our stadium is really loud. To have 50, that's why we would love to see it next year. I know Catherine wants to see 50,000 people, and she believes that 50,000 can be there. But Catherine, what is your favorite moment in your time of watching UH football?
So I've actually got 2 moments. The first one was actually Hawaii versus Nevada last year in September. So I didn't get to go to the game. Unfortunately, I had to stay home and work. And so here I am working at a very well-known winery here in town. And I've got my cell phone set up with UH going on. I'm serving people wine. It's a busy Saturday night. And I remember that first few minutes of the game, Cole, he got sacked. And it kind of set the tone for the game, and we were all just like, "Oh God, so disappointed!" Right? We're like, "Is this going to be it? Are we going down to Nevada?" But then they turned it around, and they ended up being it was 54-3. It was a total murder show. It was fantastic, right? You're just like, "What is this?" The recovery was amazing.
That was a great game.
But my in-person one, absolutely, hands down, of course, has to be UNLV. I mean, come on, who else gets on a plane by themselves, shows up to the biggest tailgate ever?
It was the best.
I mean, just the whole experience was amazing. Being in the stands, waving my tea leaf, with everybody. It was just, it was one of those moments where I connected with the players. I connected with, everybody there representing UH. And that was actually when I got to get my photo with Cole McDonald.
That's
it was great. Got to go on the field, met everybody. It was just so welcoming and so warm. So I think as a whole, that experience just pulled me in deeper. And that's what I love about UH football. I've been to plenty of college games in this area. It's huge here. But I've never felt the warm welcome like I have going to a UH game. And that's something that will forever stick with me.
And that's at the end of the day, what Catherine just said is exactly what, as a fan base, we need to remember. First of all, is our ohana. It's us being together as a fan base, and how strong we are, and how beautiful that relationship is. I mean, UNLV, it was amazing seeing everybody. I don't even. It's just like one after another. People I was talking to, and then all of a sudden the game started, and then the game was over. It was such a whirlwind day. But that tailgate, and every tailgate before a game, and every time we fly into a city, every time, even if it's just me and Fuchsia and Kili or whoever it is, it's so fun because it's what we love to do, and we're sharing it together. It has nothing to do with what the scoreboard says yet. Or will say. It really is so minimal compared to the experience about being a fan. At the end of the day, like I said, I'll never give up this team. Even if I could find another team that would be a better team, there's no way. First of all, this team represents me. This is Hawaii. This is who I am at my core, as being from Hawaii and loving football and being Hawaiian. So that already, my identity there, it's for most people, and local people, our identity is tied to this program. So they sometimes need to remember that. That doesn't mean that you only support the team when they're winning, and I hope that you support the team when they are winning, because that happened last year and we still were fighting to get people to the stadium. So it'll be our challenge to continue to share that spirit that Catherine and all of our newer fans are going to get. I mean, this is the thing, our fan base needs to continue to grow. Kim needs more people to support her and Nakoa, so everybody go out there and start recruiting your young friends as well, the new people, the people that, say, okay, one day I'll go to a game with you. So next year you'll be like, okay, this is the year you're going to do it. And if you can go and see, one of the best players from the high school ranks, that would be another great thing to bring in those fans. And that's another reason why it's so important to keep the local recruits home. But we've just not been able to do it that well recently. But, Kim, we know it's a challenging, but what would you do to keep more local recruits home?
Oh, that's a $64,000 question.
Yep. I don't have that much money, though. I'm sorry.
No, I don't have that on me right now. We're taking donations.
Yes, yes.
No. But I think it's always been a challenge, right? For all the coaches, it's been a challenge, and I've been fortunate to get to know Coach Graham,
mm-hmm.
and I think one of the things that's going to help keep some kids here is that he's looking at keeping offense, which we all like,
mm-hmm.
but he really wants to have a tough rock'em sock'em defense, and we like good defense here,
yep.
and we know we've got kids that can play great defense, and so hopefully having that balance and wanting to bring back, a really tough, staunch defense is going to want to make some of the guys stay here and play for us and be part of his team. So
I like that. I love that. Yeah, that's great. The style of play, the type of players we have here. Koholo stayed home, a great prep baseball player, and went to Hilo and beat. There's another. See, you're the only person to ever throw you got a no-hitter against Manoa, right? Was that what it was?
No,
complete game?
I beat them twice in one season.
Oh, twice in one season.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was. I felt good about that because we're always second to UH baseball, UH Manoa baseball, and it was good to play those guys. And a lot of the guys, Jamie. Shout out Jamie Aloy. We played baseball from when we were like 9 years old together on opposite teams, at Lahaina Luna and Baldwin. And then we went to I was at UH Hilo, he was at UH Manoa. So it felt good to beat them that year. It was great.
But all those guys you went to school with, great athletes, some of them went to the mainland. How do you keep those boys home?
Yeah, I really think, and I kind of thinking about my experience, when I was growing up, when I was playing baseball, I never played football. I watched it all the time, but I played baseball from, as young as I can remember. My dad was a coach. He was carrying me at the field. So baseball was always my thing. And when I started to get middle school and I started to, baseball became, every single day I would do something with baseball. It was UH baseball free on TV. That made me want to play for UH Manoa. Like, it was watching Todd Takayoshi and Bill Blanchett and all those guys from that era, the late 80s, early 90s. And you never miss it. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Jim Leahy, Pal Eldridge. We could listen to them, watch the game. And it became where my parents made a yearly trip of us going to the Easter tournament to watch that every year,
Wow.
And it was just this thing where I wanted to play. Now, I got scholarship from UH Hilo, so that's where I went to play baseball. But I always wanted to go to UH. So I think they have to figure out this pay-per-view TV thing. I think it's just I think it's bonkers how much we pay for UH
Mm-hmm.
football.
Mm-hmm.
If they can figure this out and get the games more accessible to a wider group of people, I think they can really entice more of the student athletes to aspire to be in the program.
Yeah, great point. Catherine, what do you got to say?
You know, when it comes to keeping kids on the island, not being from the island, I have a unique perspective of what draws me there, and that's something that we can play on to keep them there, right? And the unique thing for me, every time I go back, and I've been going back for 2 years now, it's crazy to think about that. But the unique thing for me is just the love. I feel like we need to really support the student athletes more, no matter what sport they're in. It doesn't matter if it's football, volleyball, baseball. And this is not just support as far as going to the games, but I mean, you almost need to show that we care about them more than just playing the game. Because I kind of get the sense that some of these guys and gals, they think, okay, you're only going to show up to my games, but where else am I seen at? So maybe if we could like do like a highlight, like a star of the week. Doesn't matter what sport you're in, but something to show that we appreciate the fact that you're here. We want to keep you here. You know, that goes a long way when you show some type of appreciation. That's something that I would love to see happen for UH student athletes. And it's tough as well because it's enticing when people are like, hey, come to the mainland. Like, we'll show you a good time over here. There's new experiences, more opportunities. And I think what we need to realize is that that is always on the back of their mind, that they want to go and they want to experience more. But we got to figure out how we can show them that those experiences are not just exclusive to the mainland.
Yeah.
We can still bring that to them here on the islands. And that's something we need to really think hard about because we do lose a lot of very good players to mainland teams.
Yeah.
So hopefully, you know, in the future, we can see more appreciation, more get-togethers. Let's get them out into the community. Let's talk to them. Let's listen to them. Let's support them. That's something that's really important.
What about you, Glenn?
You know, I used to coach travel ball. I used to coach girls softball, and I used to get this question from parents all the time: should my kid go to the mainland for school, or should they stay home? And I always told them, I said if your child wants to be a professional athlete, you know, then you know that's one thing. But most likely, most college athletes, student athletes, will not play professionally, and almost none will get the scholarship, will get the paydays like Tua did, or Jelani did, or Marcus did. So if your child is looking to stay home after college, play for a college in Hawaii, because your opportunities for jobs are just explode after that. I know this from first-hand experience. You know, I've hired athletes in my career, and you know, I hired them for sales because when I send them out to a business, their name recognition gets their foot in the door real quick. Yeah. So that to me is a great reason to stay home. And you know, and another story. So I have a friend who was a really good baseball player, had a chance to go to Cal, UC Berkeley. Coach Les convinced him, said, what do you want to do after college? And he says, I'm going to stay home and be an accountant. He goes, well, play here. You'll get a job anywhere you want. Because everybody will see you on TV every week.
Yeah.
And your name recognition will get your foot in the door.
Yeah.
So he stayed home, and now he's a VP at a company being an accountant. So.
And that's a great point that Glenn brought up. I mean, and this extends even outside of athletics too. For a lot of people that go to UH Manoa, or you know, Kim going to Scheidler, right? Even if you go to business school, maybe on the mainland, it's not as easy to come home and get a job sometimes. Sometimes it's better to have that local connection. And if you want to be here, you want to be a part of the sustainability of our island and not contribute to the brain drain and leave the island so often like Wayne Cueto, then you should probably stay and get a great job and be able to continue to you know, raise the profile of our program as well at the same time, especially if you're a great athlete. We were lucky to have John Ursula. If you watched last week, Thursday, our interview with him, and he said point blank, stay home, local boys, stay home. You can do it just like me. You can be just like me, stay home, and you can make an impact. He talked about making an impact. He talked about bringing pride to his family. He talked about bringing pride to his island and the place that he's from. I mean, those are intangible, and these are benefits and parts that enhance your college experience that you might not get if you leave. And this is coming from somebody that went to New York to play sports. But then again, had I stayed home, it's different. It's like I'm one of the student athletes who left Hawaii and didn't come. I ended up playing volleyball and basketball up there. See, I'm not even a football player. We got football, baseball, all kinds of people in here. But hey, we in Hawaii, there are a lot of kids like me who grew up on the island that just want to leave. They're like, I just like leave already. It's so small, this island. And then you're like, I come home as soon as you graduate. So sometimes it does take leaving to be able to appreciate it. Sometimes it does take, there's a lot of experience. I'm so happy about, my college experience as well. But if you're a great player who's looking to make it to the next level, like Jordan Sua, look, he did that, having been recruited by Norm Chow and, having even gone through that, his mission and all the different parts of him and his college career, he still ended up in the NFL. He still went to UH, and he still did all the things that he wanted to do when he was in college. So that's something to remember. If you're out there and you're thinking, do I stay home? Do I leave? Definitely think about staying home. But with that, that brings us to our last question of the night. And this is a surprise one. I let people kind of get prepared, but this one I'm sure they think about all the time. So I'm going to pose this question. If you could bring one local, and it has to be local, from Hawaii, eatery into the new stadium, which one would it be? And why? Let's start with Kaholo. And it could be from anywhere. The more creative, the better.
So not just it could be from anywhere.
Well, local Hawaii local. Doesn't have to be in like town. Could be anywhere on Hawaii.
Whew, making me hungry. I'm going to have to go with shout out to one of my good friends and chef extraordinaire, Chef Sheldon. He has a restaurant over here. Tin Roof. Killer food over there. Simple menu, but super ono. I would go with Chef Sheldon, Simeon over at the Tin Roof.
Okay, you gotta tell us what happens at Tin Roof if none of us have been there. What kind of food? What is there that we can't get at the stadium already right now? Talk about it.
The most killer mochiko chicken with is called his specialty called Animal Style, where he loads that thing up. It's just unbelievably good.
Ooh. Okay, mochiko chicken. Now I'm definitely starting to get hungry.
Yeah.
Okay, Catherine. What about you, Catherine? What do you got to say, Catherine?
I gotta admit, when I get to a game, food's not my jam. I need to go straight for the beer. So I would love to see some local beer.
Okay, I like it.
Maui Brew. I would love to see even some micro brews that are popping up.
Okay, pick one. What would you say if you're going to pick one brewery or microbrewery to be in there? Since you're going to go with the breweries, which one?
I gotta go with my favorite right now, and that's Maui, because they're really turning out some really good stuff right now. I mean, they are jazzing it up. It's not just lagers and porters and stuff. I mean, they're coming out with sours, some blondes, some beautiful mixtures with some tropical flavors. But come on, let's be real, Wayne. I'm in the stands with 2 beers right now. So.
Well, and that's a big thing as well. I mean, we talked about this in Albuquerque. They had like local ciders, they had like local beers, and it was like super like microbrewery local, and it was so cool. And that is a part of the experience of the game. It had nothing to do with the fact that we were blowing out New Mexico on the field, because their fans still could enjoy, the things that you can only get in New Mexico, right?
Exactly.
And that is important to be there as well. That's why we say eat local. We want to eat local at our stadium, but what would you bring in, Glenn?
I'm with Catherine. I want a beer. I want a local beer at the games. Food's not my thing either at games. But if I were to pick one food, it would be right up the street from my house. It would be Elena's Pipikala short ribs.
Ooh. Okay, now I'm really hungry.
That would be on my list.
Yeah, you live literally down the street from Helena's, right?
I do.
Mitsuken.
And Mitsuken moved. but,
Mitsuken.
but they're still relatively close. And Rainbow Drive-In moved in too.
Oh, really? You have
Yeah.
you got like Mexico over there. You got all kind
Mexico,
over there.
Richie's, Young's Fish Market, yeah.
Campbell has a thing over there. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
We're taking all the options,
wait,
but
I've got one more.
okay, what?
Malasadas, Leonard's Bakery. Come on.
I like that. I like Leonard's. I gotta give you that. No, we're gonna give you that, but it's Kim. We're gonna give Kim the floor. So Kim has all the choice now of all the foods. She can even add malasadas. But what is Kim gonna say?
Okay, for Catherine, I'm throwing in Malasadas.
Okay.
Yay!
Place. I don't know that I can necessarily endorse a place, but I do have a favorite place that is on Wai'i,
Okay.
and they have the best French fries.
Ooh.
Yeah. So the chef has many restaurants. You probably figure it out. He has several on Wai'i, but his French fries are absolutely the best.
I like that. And just for that, the French fries for Wai'i, we're gonna give Kim the floor. Kim, 30 seconds. Who do you want to shout out, Kim?
Well, thank you, Wayne, for having me. I appreciate being here. And, fingers crossed we have some form of football in the fall, because I know I can count on at least 4 of you here for sure, and everybody that's tuned in to be cheering our Warriors on. And I think look forward to some fun stuff on the field once we get to see what Coach Graham and his staff can do, because I've really enjoyed working with him and working with the staff. So, and if you can, we would really appreciate your NACOA membership. All right, I got my plug.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, this is amazing. I'm thankful for all of you who stuck around out there when I had some audio difficulties, and for some reason that happens every week. But we'll figure it out. I'll fire my engineer, but it's me. So I'm going to be back next week as well. Every Thursday as well, we do at 5 o'clock. We're going to have a special former NFL player, Sarah Tuolo, tomorrow, local boy, joining us as well. Played for the Packers, Vikings, coming in from Minnesota. Sunday, we'll have our Sunday Sound Off. We're going to have Derek Branch actually join us this week as well. So lots of people to join us. But for Koholo Ricard, for Catherine Castillo, for Glenn Higa, and for one of our biggest fans in the Hawaii fan base, that's Kimberly Fujiuchi herself, the Executive Director of NACOA, I'm Wayne Cueto. We'll see you guys next time. Aloha.